So can I be honest? Austin Reaves' story to me these past 2 years has been an amazing story. Like seeing his evolution and then seeing him make it as a starter on the Lakers has been one of those feel-good stories that I just want to see going. When it comes to the NBA, Reaves is a minority, and it made me wonder, why is most of the NBA black? Oh, and by the way, don't forget to support this channel by hitting that like button and subscribing if you like outside the box NBA topics. Your support is much appreciated. As of April 2023, according to Statista.com, the National Basketball Association has one of the highest percentages of African American players from the Big Four professional sports leagues in North America. In 2022, approximately 71.8% of NBA players were African American. White players constituted a 17.4% share of all NBA players that year. What's most interesting is the fact that the NBA and the NFL data was extremely interesting, considering the fact that African Americans are a minority class of citizens in the United States. In 2021, 59% of the US were white, non-Hispanic, while the percent of those who were identified as black were 12.6%. There are approximately 450 players in the NBA. Each one of the 30 NBA teams can have 15 players on their active roster, with replacements for injuries or poor performance. So as of 2023, with only 17% of players who are both active and white in the NBA team, that means that there are only 77 white players compared to 324 players who are identified as black. While searching for opinions on why people think the NBA is majority black, which was probably a bad idea, but one that I felt like needed to be discussed, I read 3 critical opinions. The first major argument talked about black physical attributes compared to white physical attributes. One opinion on Reddit post said this: acknowledging differences in race while not being racist is what is required here. I believe the reason for the dominance is because of the increased amount of ACTN3 fast-twitch muscle fibers found predominantly in the people of the West African descent around the world. Another statement within this argument said that elite black athletes are clearly more explosive and better leapers than elite white athletes. Of course, whites can compete with blacks. Another major bucket of the argument went a different route. This argument said that white Americans being spread amongst various sports is the main reason. One opinion said, and I quote, "In short, white American males are spread out too thin among the number of different sports. Think of just the Winter Olympic sports alone. To go with car racing, ice and field hockey, lacrosse, darts, bowling, skateboarding, volleyball, and the list continues relatively to infinity compared to the number of sports the black American males play." Another major bucket talked about it from the lens of access, which I thought was a pretty compelling point as an African American educator. This person said, basketball is a game that can be played anywhere. All you need is a hoop, ball, and a pair of sneakers. This is something that a kid can play with or without money. Another opinion within the same vein of this argument said, black basketball players are attracted to basketball because of a great deal of African Americans come from the inner cities, and it requires a lot less real estate and or equipment to play basketball than football, soccer, baseball, and any other sport. When I consider these arguments, I personally landed on one core argument which makes sense to me as an African American man and educator. For me, the argument about access has more to do with the success of black Americans in the NBA and the NFL than anything else. Let me explain. You see, yes, there may be slight advantages that may lead to make the process easier to succeed, but it lands on the point of access and commitment. Essentially, in order to succeed in anything in life, then you must be willing to put in the hours to succeed. A really great book written by Malcolm Gladwell says this. In his 2008 book, Outliers, Malcolm Gladwell wrote that 10,000 hours is the magic number of greatness. The meaning behind this in theory is simple. To be considered elite and truly experienced within a certain craft, you must practice it for 10,000 hours. While in my school in particular, my students play basketball at recess, demand to play it consistently at gym, and talk about basketball and football at lunch. Their time is spent consuming football and basketball. My students and families would crucify me if I decided to replace the basketball hoop with a ping pong. But in all the cultures, this might be a mainstay of who they are. So to go back to my question, why are there so many black players in the NBA? Then for me, the answer lies in access and time. So what are your thoughts and where do you land on this discussion? Please make sure to smash that like button and subscribe, and thanks for watching.